Coach Marion with the Sacramento State Hornets. Join us on the Big Mountain.
Coaching changes are always in the news, so we're back on the Big Mountain to keep you updated.
Hey, welcome back to the Big Mountain. I am JY, and this is my good friend Steve. Very fortunate that we have head coach for the Sacramento State Hornets, Brennan Marion, to join us here on the Big Mountain to talk about the Hornets, as he is the new head coach for that team, and also the news they're making with NIL and their push for FBS. So let's get right into it. Well, we welcome to the Big Mountain Brennan Marion, the new head coach of the Sacramento State Hornets. How are you doing tonight, Coach?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well. I'm excited. Signing day. We're rolling. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's an exciting time at Sac State. Stingers up.
Absolutely. Stingers up for sure. We have been following Sac State here for a little while. We had Josh Wood, the brother of your president, Luke Wood, on here a couple months ago talking about the Sac-12 committee, everything that's been going on there. You know, Sac State still making headlines here of late with the NIL commitment, stadium plans, possible movement to FBS. But we want to focus, obviously, our discussion with you on Sacramento State football, because that's what you do, and that's what we follow here on our podcast. Just to start, can you tell us the process you went through in looking for a head coaching job, and what kind of drew you to Sacramento State?
Yeah, I really wasn't looking. I say that the places that I've, been able to go coach at is more so based off of relationships and people just doing things first class. And, so first, Barry treated me first class there, bringing me to UNLV. When I left the University of Texas. And then, when I met, when I basically got a call from the athletic director here, Mark Orr, and, President Wood, it was basically just very transparent, very first class, very, like they courted me to this job, I told my wife, if I'm to get a head coaching job anywhere, I want the school to really want me. I want them to be okay with, the tattoos and cowboy hat and, a hard-nosed, tough football coach. I want them to be comfortable and confident in that. And so, Mark had flew out to Vegas to see me on I believe it was a Wednesday, and we had a great 2 or 3 hour talk, at a restaurant. It was really good. And then he was like, the president wants to get on with you with Zoom or something. And then the president was like, no, I'm coming to meet this guy. And then a day later, 2 days later, the president was there, and we were out to dinner for 2 to 3 hours, and we just really hit it off. And, ultimately that's what brought me to Sac State, was really those two guys' vision, what they saw for the program going forward in the future. And then, me, I started my coaching career in Northern California as a high school coach. I also went to junior college in Northern California, so I knew the area really well, recruited the area for years. And I always felt like, Sacramento is a sleeping giant because people really do love football here. Northern California, a lot of people really love, quality football. And so the opportunity to be back where I started coaching at is awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And having a little bit of that the roots there in Northern California, helps you kind of understand what they're all about there. We talk about Sacramento State a lot in the city of Sacramento with the population that they have, one of the top DMAs in the country, and thirsty. We talked about this with Josh Wood, just thirsty for more. And, it certainly looks like Sacramento State University is trying to help fill some of that thirst for, high level sports. I want to take a step back. You mentioned Northern California. We're Pennsylvania boys, and I noticed you played ball near Pittsburgh, I think, in Western PA for high school at was it Greensburg, in Greensburg, PA. You also actually coached close to where we're at here for a year down in Waynesboro High School. Was a head coach there in 2014. So you're Northern California guy. I know you have some time here in Pennsylvania, which is close to where we're at. And I believe if the reporting is correct, that GoGo offense that you're known for started maybe around 2014 in Waynesboro or thereabouts. Can you speak to how that offense scheme was created and what that's all about?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm from Western Pennsylvania. I'm from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I went to Greensburg Salem my senior year, graduated from there. And then, obviously coaching at Waynesboro, coached at the University of Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So I mean, Pittsburgh's tatted on my hand. I mean, I'm a Pittsburgh guy through and through, right?
All
So
city, baby.
that's right. That's right. Real football. And so the big thing for me, when I created the offense was I I was a high school head coach in Vallejo, California, in the Bay Area. And basically same thing when I was became a high school head coach. I was 25, and I was just trying to find a way to be different and unique with the skill set and talent of players that I had. I mean, I took over teams that won, 0 games or 1 game, for multiple years. Waynesboro, I mean, anybody who's from that area knows what we did at that program. I mean, you can't deny what we did at Waynesboro, from them being a program that didn't win to win the conference championship game to them going to the playoffs, raising money. We really changed the landscape of the Waynesboro football program when I was there. And yeah, what people call now is the GoGo offense. That was all started as a high school coach in 2012, 2013, and then in 2014 we just went full go, two back, same side. Like it was just nonstop. It started off as, I copied a lot of Coach Malzahn offense because I played for him in college at the University of Tulsa when he was the OC there. And then I had to create my own thing because we didn't have good players. So I was like, we didn't have, when I coached high school, it wasn't like we were recruiting or we had all these Division I players. Like I think in my 4 years of coaching high school ball, we had one guy go Division I. So it wasn't like I just had all this talent, and so it was like, how do I give these kids my all and help them be better and have a quality football experience? You have to create something where they can win, because I couldn't just line up and run pro style offense, or we couldn't just line up and run air raid. We didn't have enough receivers, so, and I didn't want to be wing T or just straight option, right? Because then, that I'm a receiver at heart, and played receiver. You still got to throw the ball, you still got to have some cool plays, right? But so that's kind of how I got started. And when I went to Howard as the offensive coordinator with Mike London, um, first game of the season, we had the biggest upset in college football history against UNLV, ironically. And, that's when the world got to know it as the go-go offense and kind of took off from there.
Awesome. Yeah, and you mentioned your Tulsa ball, where you led the nation in, I believe, it was yards per reception for 2 straight years. So that's awesome. I want to talk a little bit more kind of about the coaching ranks here a little bit. And so obviously you joined the FBS, I believe, the FBS coaching ranks at Hawaii there. Quickly rose as to kind of one of the top college football offensive minds, if you will. The last 2 seasons here, you were with UNLV under Coach Odom, as you mentioned. So I guess my question is, just over the last 5 years or so, you've worked with Coach Odom, you worked with Steve Sarkisian there in Texas. You mentioned that. Todd Graham. Kind of what have you learned from those coaches? What would you say maybe stands out in terms, or who stands out maybe as a mentor as you kind of move forward to being a head coach here at Sac State?
Yeah, I learned, like, when I went to Hawaii with Coach Graham, it was me and GJ Kinney in the room. We were former college teammates. Me and Gary Joe, we talk once every couple weeks. We've stayed close since college. We've always kind of been connected. We went out there and, helped create an offense with Coach Graham's son, Bo. And it was really just like a family circle coming back around because we had known each other all for so long. And we kind of built some different things. And the way that we recruit in the transfer portal is kind of something that me and GJ Kinney kind of put together. During COVID out there, we kind of worked on a way to do it like the NFL. And a lot of teams kind of use that model now on how they recruit the portal. And then kind of going to Pitt with Coach Whipple. He gave me the confidence to just believe in my system, because being with him, I mean, anybody who knows Coach Whip, he's a stubborn, angry old man who's going to get it done and do it his way, and he doesn't care if anybody likes it or agrees with it. He's going to do things his way. And he really just gave me the confidence when it's my time to call it again, to just really believe in my system and not, and really just, focus on running my system. And I learned about a lot about how he developed the quarterback and how he worked with Kenny and how he coached him. I think that really helped me a lot. And then being with Sark at Texas, seeing that you can be at the highest level of football, being at the University of Texas where you have to fundraise, be a CEO, all those things that you have to do at Texas and still be a great play caller, and a great recruiter. Sark, I still don't know how he does it, but he does it all, man. He's a great recruiter. He's a great coach. He's a dad. He's freaking, he's a scheme guy. Like he's a head coach. Making sure the whole program runs, fundraising. He does a little bit of it all there. Learned a lot from him on just how to operate a machine like Texas every day. And then, being with Coach Odom, it was kind of like being with Coach London, where you have complete autonomy to run what you want to run on offense. The years that I spent with London at Howard and William and Mary, 3 years I spent with Coach London, it was basically I was head coach offense and got a chance to just really run and do my thing there. And really being with Coach Odom, that's why the world got to see, a full booklet of what the GoGo offense could be. If you give me a chance to really run it all, Coach Odom did that. So he gave me the platform to do that and the opportunity. And so we had a lot of success there with it. And, I just learned a lot from those guys. But the greatest thing from all those guys is just, just being real football dudes, like just that's the hardest part in this business is people think that this is a get rich quick scheme. And really it's a long process and a lot of doing a whole bunch of jobs that you don't want to do with a smile on your face and just loving ball and loving the kids. And then one day, boom, you just kind of pop up. Everybody thinks you're an overnight success, but I've been in football since I was 5 years old, so it's a
Right.
long time.
Right. For sure.
Coach, I have a follow-up question there. I can't remember exactly how the timeline broke out, but did you have any kind of tough decisions to make with Coach Odom leaving UNLV? Was it kind of a hard decision? Do you go with him? Was that an opportunity for you, or kind of go strike on your own looking at for this, head coaching position? What was your thought process there? Were you really looking to become a head coach? Or were you just kind of looking at all your options out there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I always lean on my faith. Like I don't think that any person, place, or thing promotes you. I really think that's a spiritual thing for me. But so obviously when you win, you get opportunities. And so obviously we all had opportunities to go places and do things. And, Coach Odom, I wished him and his family well. I think it was time, for me to ascend to either being a Power Five coordinator or college head coach. I think that's what naturally was in my progression, and that's kind of what happened. Like God kind of answered my prayers on. I really didn't want to be attached to being an assistant coach any longer. I did it the opposite way. I was a high school head coach, and then got into college, and you do all the assistant work and grunt work and you say yes sir, even though you might want to do something else with your program. You just say yes sir and run people's deal the way they want it done, respect the chain of command. And so for me, I really wanted to be a head coach. I didn't know what school would present that opportunity, but I knew in the back of my mind that still calm voice was telling me that would occur. And so it all just worked out, the stars aligned, and I was able to get my own deal. But I think Coach will do a great job there, and he brought some of the UNLV guys with him that we had success all together, and I think that'll continue for him.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of the confidence that some of the head coaches kind of gave you and having your back and letting you run your offense. I mean, I'll just say thoroughly enjoyed watching UNLV play these last two seasons. Kind of pacing the sidelines, it was evident. Anytime, the camera got on you, you were in control. You wanted the ball in the offense's hands, and you were ready to go score a touchdown. I mean, it was a really, really impressive thing to see. And the confidence, you could tell you have that in the offense that you're running, and you could see just what happened on the field there with that offense. You also mentioned quarterbacks. And I mean, you look at the quarterbacks at UNLV, Jaden obviously moved on to USC, ended up becoming the starter at USC this year. He was a kid that when Steve and I saw him in his first game that he played for UNLV because your starting quarterback was injured. I want to say that was game 3 or 4 of last year. We went, holy cow, that kid is amazing. And you guys just ran with him. And, obviously he's off at USC. And then even this past year, having 2 quarterbacks, Haj Malik comes in there about 5 games in, and he just looked incredible too. Amazing athlete. Can you talk about just working with the different quarterbacks there? Really dual threats. I know all the guys that you had were very much dual threat quarterbacks. Is that what you look for in a quarterback, or do you just kind of use the gifts of the players?
Yeah, I love Jaden to death, but he's definitely not a dual threat. No, I mean that dude has an NFL arm. I think that sky's the limit for him. I think for us, really, it's about just creating value for the players. I mean, we coach every player like he's the starter, whether you're the 1, 2, or 3, whether you're the starter or the walk-on. And you kind of saw that at UNLV over time. Guys that made it not been recruited high or been all conference guys became all conference, all American guys and had success. And, in the quarterback room, we coach all those guys really hard. I mean, they have a different process than the rest of the team. They really get there at 4:45 a.m. They have a different kind of schedule that they're on. And so you saw when those guys all got their opportunities, they were able to shine and thrive in the system because the system is geared towards their strengths and skill sets. So we're going to try to highlight all the quarterback strengths and keep his weaknesses quiet where you can't really where those really won't be shown. And so those quarterbacks did a great job for us. I think Coach Merchant, who's our offensive coordinator here at Sac State, he did a good job in teaching those guys every day and working with them. He was an analyst for me, working with the quarterbacks there at UNLV. And, it was just a testament to those guys as far as putting the work in that they did when their number was called. They were prepared for their opportunity and they shined.
For sure. Yeah, it was great to watch. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Sacramento State. So December 20th, you were named head coach of the Hornets. Of course, we're recording this here on February 5th. We just talked a little bit before we recorded, signing day. You've had a very, very busy day, and I want to talk a little bit more about what's been going on here at Sacramento State. Lots of headlines of the plethora of talent that's decided to both transfer to Sac State here over the past month or so from different FBS programs. Also, you talked about just today posting #1 in FCS in terms of recruiting and whatnot. I think you're 84th in all of FBS in terms of recruiting. So very, very busy time for you, but man, you are making lots of fantastic headlines. Can you just talk about that process? What do you give, where do you point to in terms of how that even occurred and how you're getting these really good recruiting and transfer classes in there to Sac State?
Yeah, I think you just over time you create kind of a track record. And when I always say, like, I might not be every coach's favorite, but the players have really respected me and because over time, I mean, I've really just poured into the players and put my all into making sure players create value for themselves. And I think more times than not right now with the whole NIL process and all that stuff that goes on, players really want to create value for themselves. And we talk about one great year can change our lives, and that's really just locking in and doing everything possible regardless of what you were last year, what your star rating was, really just pouring into players and making them give their absolute all and give their best to be successful. And so anytime you have that rapport with players and, they players tell other players, right? It's word of mouth, right? And now everybody's connected through social media and these players can see the Xavier Worthies and Jordan Whittingtons and Jordan Addisons and they can see the success that these players had based off one year that they had, and then boom, the next year that they jumped up, and the players are like, man, I want that guy to coach me.
Mm.
And so, a lot of that came through one player telling another player that Coach Marion will make sure you're right, and he'll take care of you, and he'll put you on the plan, and you'll be successful. Other parts of that came through our staff that I hired here. I mean, we have a tremendous group of men that we've hired here that are great dads, great husbands. That care about kids. That guys that have shown a great track record with their players in their own rights in different places, and them being able to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, we want you here. Let's go," and not having to explain it's FCS or FBS or whatever it is, and kids just being like, man, I want to go play for those coaches. And so, that's how we're able to get the transfers from UCLA, Oregon, Nebraska, Pitt, different places that we've been, and we stopped, that players trust us and know that we're going to put them in a situation to win, and really, mentor them and help them matriculate as grown men in their life and take care of things. And so, this last week has been my first week of actual sleep. I think it was, when I first got the job, I mean, it was go to bed at 1, wake up at 3, so you can recruit East Coast kids harder than anybody else. You recruit West Coast kids till 1 in the morning, and you just don't stop, and really that's, if you want to be a good coach, you need great players. And so that was our main focus, is to get great players in here. And I think, like you guys talked about, it's easy to sell Sacramento. I mean, Sacramento to me has a lot of an Austin feel, an Austin vibe of being the state capital of California, being a place where kids actually want to live after they're done playing. You have so many beautiful surrounding areas: Roseville, Folsom in the Sacramento area, downtown Sacramento, a lot of jobs, a thriving economy, a top media market. This is a place where people actually want to be. It's hard to recruit in places where kids don't want to actually be, like you're only selling the football building. Here we're actually selling, you know, football life, a true student athlete experience, and then being able to raise a family here and actually thrive in this community and live. And so it's been an easy sell to families. We've brought in 48 players in a month, a little bit over a month. And so there's just, and then obviously a great administration who's signing off on all these kids coming in, Dr. Wood and or President Wood, and, our collective group, and, our administrators, our AD, compliance, right? Everybody's been, locked arm in arm on saying, all right, we're really doing this thing. We're doing it all the way. Working on new facilities and just getting things right.
So I got a follow up for that, Coach. We've been following Sac State for a few months now, really intently, and there's been all this, just a lot of excitement about the program as far as the move up to FBS, the NIL, money in the headlines, about all the donations that were coming in, or all that kind of stuff. Can you use that? Normally normal coach speak as well. We're just going to put our nose to the grindstone, work hard, and all that kind of stuff, and good results will come. And I get it. That's coach speak. But this is a really exciting time for this program. Is there a way for you to kind of snare that, capitalize on that, and use that as far as generating, that the recruiting, bringing in the players, getting that attention, getting those donations? Do you try to, so is there a balance there? Do you try and kind of push all that attention to the side and focus on just hard work, or do you use that attention that the program is getting to really, increase your results and increase the lifeblood of the program, that recruiting talent coming in?
Yeah, for me, I mean, the biggest thing that we've hit on is the guys loving football. I mean, we want to find players that love football. Like, that's our number one team rule, is to love football. And so anytime we can focus on, guys loving football, then everything that comes with it is a byproduct of the work that you put in, and the love that you've shown the game will love you back. And so that's really been the number one calling card for the guys that we brought in, has been, do you love football? Like, are you willing to put in all the work to be successful? And then everything that comes with that, like you've earned that, and we're okay with you getting that. We're not the coaches who are gonna, stop you from an opportunity or hate on you because you're making money, or like at Texas we had players driving Lamborghinis. Some coaches didn't like that. I mean, I didn't care if the player freaking did everything he was supposed to do, and was a good person, and he worked his ass off on the field, and performed. I mean, that's the way football is. I mean, if you make it to the next level in football, if you're a professional football player, and now as a college player, if you do the right things and you play right and you perform the right way, then you reap the benefits of that. And so for us, it's been just about getting guys that love football, are going to put the work in, and then we direct them to the general manager and the internet for all the extra stuff that kids are into. What we're into is getting guys that love football and are going to work hard, and then when they perform, then they can get whatever's out there for them. And so I think that's the most important thing always to me, is just getting guys. I think people who like football, love football, when they have a common goal, great results happen, and then obviously you get benefits from that.
Yeah, before we get to our last question here, kind of topic regarding goals and things for the future, I want to go back. You talked about the transfer portal and kind of living that reality for the last 4 or 5 years. You mentioned 2020 and whatnot. And, the channel that we have here, I'm kind of the Mountain West guy. So if you want to call it the G5 or G6 guy, Steve is a Big Ten, a power guy. And, a few years back, there was a lot of people concerned that the group of 5-6 was going to lose all of their talent to the power programs, and that was going to be very detrimental to those schools and to those programs. But what we've said and what we've seen is you actually are seeing, and to Sacramento State, what you guys have there, you're seeing players from power programs, and you kind of mentioned this. I guess I'm just looking to maybe if you can expound upon it a little bit, that are looking for just the chance, right? They don't want to be sitting on a bench for 3 straight years. They don't play. They can't be seen. If they transfer to whomever, whether it be another power program, group of program, Sac State, whoever it is, they want to be given the chance to put in that hard work, and they probably already are, but it can't be showcased on the field. And, we see, obviously, I think it flows both ways. And almost, I won't say it's better for the the FCSs or the group of 5 schools, but it's definitely, to me, kind of a two-way street there, where you're seeing these athletes that are not the starter, they're not getting the reps that they would like to for their future, so they're looking elsewhere. Is that kind of what you're seeing with some of these players?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these players want to, they everybody wants to be, recognized for their hard work. And, you have a lot of guys who are, you know, putting in 6, 7 days a week worth of work, and then they don't get to touch the field. And, that has actually opened the door for some group of 5s to stay alive. Like, at UNLV, that was our calling card, to get players that were from SEC schools and ACC schools that hadn't got a chance to actually play yet. Now they're creating value for themselves, and now they're up on draft boards, and now they're top players in the transfer portal when they went into it. So I think anytime you talk about guys that are working hard, players still crave the structure, the discipline, all the stuff that the old school guys say that they don't want to do. They'll do all those things. They just want to, make an Instagram picture about it, or, tweet about it or whatever. They just want to kind of be seen about it. And I always say, like, to me, it's important that you're doing significant work, so now when you're coming to Sacramento State and you're showing that, man, you scored 2 touchdowns in a game, or you were, a valuable part in that, making that play happen. When you have that Instagram post, it's not just you in some logo jersey. It's you actually, hey, I actually performed, I actually played, I actually, right. And now people are starting to know your name for your performance, not just your name off of the shirt on your back. It's actually because of the work that you put in. And so for us, that's how we've been able to get guys that, might have been considered marginal players at other places. For us, they could come be a starter and a star, create value for themselves to move on to the next level, because the NFL has to evaluate some type of tape at some point, right? It doesn't matter what school you go to, you need to have actual tape. And so it was great to see, Ashton Genty at Boise State at Boise. He could have went and got millions to go somewhere else. He stayed there and, got himself all the way into the Heisman race and, he was one of the top talked about college football players.
Mhm.
And you see also on the other end, I mean, the guy who won the Heisman, he started off at HBCU
Right.
and they blew that up and, FCS level, and he did his thing. And then he bumped up and he showed a skill player is a good skill player, whatever level I'm at. And I can go to a big program now and blow that up and become a Heisman winner. And so I think what kids are starting to see is, especially with the social media and TV and how media works is you have to perform. You have to put out a good product. You have to, work to become a good product and create value. And no matter where you're at, you will be seen. I mean, everybody knows where North Dakota State is at. If you asked anybody about North Dakota State, they'd know, okay, that's a good football program, right? It doesn't matter that they're FCS, FBS, like they create a great product. They've put people in the NFL. And, so that's what we're trying to create here at Sac State. We're trying to just show that, hey, man, we're a great product. You see Jackson Slater, down at the Senior Bowl, and he's going against SEC guys, and he's freaking, and he's wearing them out, and he's showing like, hey, I was a great product. I'm from a smaller school, but I'm a great product. It doesn't matter. And now he's moving up on draft boards and created that value for himself. So to me, it's still about the tape. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to evaluate tape, and the only way you can get tape is by putting yourself in a position to play.
Yeah, excellent. Last thing I want to hit on here is just, you're at the very start of the Coach Marion era here with Sacramento State. What goals, expectations do you have for the program? Short term, long term. I'm not talking wins, losses, or anything like that. Like, what are you kind of, setting yourself as goals moving forward for the Sacramento State football program?
Yeah, it's a A to Z process. We're at like letter B right now. We're in the training portion right now. We'll have the Marines waking the guys up here in a few days, right? So we're in a really just galvanizing the team together, brothers of the struggle. Like really hard times for the players. I tell them they're in a dark tunnel right now, and we're just working. And really, what we're trying to do right now is just build a team. Build a culture of heart, intelligent, tough. And I think if we build that culture, right, ultimately that'll lead us to wins. And we want to talk about winning and championships. We don't really focus on that right now. We're focused on building heart, intelligent, and tough football players, and galvanizing the group together and making sure that we love football and we do everything it takes to show that we love it. And so when we take care of those things, results will speak for themselves. But I've never been a guy who's you know, waving all the stuff that we're gonna do. We're gonna just, get in a dark tunnel right now and just work. And hopefully, when there's light at the end of the tunnel, we'll be showing up in a playoff and a championship game, and that's where our work should take us if we're doing it the right way.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, as we said, we follow Sac State. I am anxiously awaiting what President Wood has to say here in the next 6 weeks. We are anxiously awaiting this. Coach Marion, we thank you so much for joining us on the Big Mountain. Really good to talk Sacramento State football.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and Stingers up.
That's right,
All right,
Stingers
Coach.
up. We again thank Coach Marion for joining us here on the Big Mountain, and we will be following Sacramento State as they make their push for FBS status. With that, we thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like this episode and subscribe if you like our content. We'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.
A kid from the Steel City has grown all the way up to be the head coach in the City of Kings.